So, what do you guys want to talk about?
You can call this the New World Order of Wrestling, brother. Put out the caution tape. Put out the orange cones. Acknowledge me.
We have a jam-packed show for you here on KPHR as we chat about the week that was and the week that will be in professional wrestling. What is happening with all of these titles? Giulia losing in record time, people walking out on Collision, new titles galore, and so much more. And to chat about things this week, I am Boris, and I am being joined by Hutch. Hutch, how's it going?
Man, it's going. Let's put it that way. Then this show's going. We got it all going on.
Lots going on. Lots to talk about. So much to do. So much more. So much so that this week we're going to be going commercial free here on KPHR just for you, just for the listener. So thank you so much for tuning in each and every single week here on KPHR and in podcast form. Hutch, where shall we start? Where do you want to start? I know you have a lot to talk about. Where do you want to go with this?
You know what? I didn't really think about where we were going to start, but you know what I'll start with? I'll start with what everybody else is talking about. Every time I open up my Twitter, one of my like YouTube wrestling people is talking about this subject. Sometimes some of them are even making a second video on it. Nixon Newell, like walking out of AEW with her lover, her life partner, her tag team partner, her person. Okay, I guess I'll just be blunt. Who cares? Like, why is this such a news story? Okay, so some indie wrestler that like got her panties in a bunch and like left the freaking show. It happens. We all make mistakes. We all get like moody. She's there with her woman. She's at AEW. Where I hear there's a lot of like backstage. There's a lot more talking and more personalities. There's more wrestlers in charge than management in charge at AEW, no matter how you slice it, right? The wrestlers can walk right up to Tony Khan, got a great idea. Oh, that's a great idea, buddy. You know, like that doesn't happen at WWE. So bottom line is everybody's talking about Nixon Newell and her lesbian lover tag team partner getting in her, they're in a snit and like being loud and leaving. Like, have we all not like watched wrestling before? Are we not alive? Like this happens all the time. People are pricks. People get in bad moods. And in wrestling, like, I just don't understand why this is such a massive news cycle thing. Like,
You
is it
honestly
because there's
wanna
no
know
pay-per-views? Like, what?
My thought on this is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
I just think that it was a quiet Sunday, no pay-per-views for a couple weeks. Blood and Guts is happening a few days from now, and this was the only thing of interest. And again, man, honestly, sometimes I feel like it's TMZ and celebrity watching and shit like that, where we need to know the smallest of details, and those smallest of details got blown up into this huge, massive thing. And sometimes, who cares?
Yeah, I guess it must be the news cycle because like they're not having much. Because honestly, I see the story. You know, Fightful says that Nixon Newell and what's her face got squat, were loud and upset about something after this and that, and they went home. And you know, the news is being said. Some wrestlers are saying this, some wrestlers are saying that. Well, it's a bit controversial. You know, Newell's had some bad luck over the years, but she's a good talent, and blah, blah, blah. And this is the kind of thing you would want to do. And people have their opinions. Great. There's a story. You know, I'm like, I woke up this morning before I sat down here with you, and first thing I saw was James Romero making a second video about this, and he talked all about it again. Like they left, they got mad. It was going to be Tay Mello and Anna Jay, like Tay Ishimori is what I call it myself. Tay Ishimori in the ring, and they took over, and everybody loved the fact that they stepped up and did the match. I'm like, does nobody follow wrestling here? What is going on? I feel like I'm on crazy pills. Like, who cares?
Yeah, honestly, and that's the thing. And I feel like we've already dedicated so much more time, but I think what I'm trying to extrapolate from here is this, Hutch. It's the fact that this is a content world. People want the clicks. People want the views. So you're going to blow something up every day, even if it's not worth it blowing up. And this is one of those cases at the end of the day. Like you said, people making 2 videos about this. Like, Look, I appreciate everyone's time, commitment, etc. But
It's great clickbait title. Two wrestlers walk out of AEW wrestlers walk out of Coliseum. You're like, oh my God. But then I literally saw that thumbnail. I was like, oh wow, that's it. And then I'm like, oh my God, they're talking about Nixon Newell and her tag team partner, and they're not even AEW wrestlers. And it's like 2 days after the first time I heard about it, which was probably like a day after it happened. I'm like, how are we here Monday morning talking about Nixon Newell?
Monday morning. It is Monday, 7 p.m. here on KPHR. I don't know what you're talking about this morning stuff. Jesus Christ, Hutch. Get your daytime savings time sorted.
Are we editing here, or is this the world of kayfabe? Like, you ever watch Jimmy Kimmel? Like they're filming in the morning, right? Yeah. They just have it look like it's nighttime or whatnot.
That's we do that all the time here. Anyways, but yeah, no, it's one of those things that it happens. Look, and in the world of professional wrestling, yeah, there's only a few things that you can do to get blacklisted, to get barred, to get whatever. She'll be back. They'll be back down the road. It is.
Yeah, don't pull a sexy star, okay? Don't armbar somebody like that everybody likes and be a bitch because you're not.
That's what I mean. There's very few things that you can do to be completely blacklisted, to be completely taken out and never booked again. So that is that. And this conversation will lead us into this, and that is all about the AEW Women's Tag Team Tournament. We have started the quarterfinals. We have a couple more matches coming up this week on Dynamite. Hutch, we've seen some surprises. We've seen some shocks. We've seen a lot of things here in the tournament so far. But what direction would you go in if you were the booker? Would you give the titles to an established team, or would you give it to a team of main eventers that were put together to form a random team?
Luckily I had a quick conversation with someone last night about this, or else I probably would have had all my information wrong. I thought that Monet and Athena were still in the tournament. I remember they lost that match in shocking fashion. And Aminata and Hayter, I know Aminata's injured slightly, so that's why they cycled them out of the tournament. So I thought that's what I kind of thought they were going to do. Aminata and Hayter, like, they could use a title because people love them, darlings. I thought perhaps Monet was just going to get another title. So those were the two directions I thought they were going to go. Third direction is give something to Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa, but Toni doesn't really need this. And isn't that why we created these titles, to give women that need something and need, like, does the title make the man, or does the man make the title? Does the woman make the title? But I don't know, man. Like, I guess I got to make sure you're not drinking, because you don't expect me to do this often. But Boris, I'll shoot it back to you instead of talking for a half hour. Like, what would you do if you decided to have a 16-person tournament? Like, I hear that Teiji Ishimori, Tay Mello, and Anna Jay, they had a match that I got confused. This is another part of my conversation last night with Buddy. Like, I forgot that Monet got eliminated. And I heard that Tay and Anna got a lot of props for stepping up last minute, doing a good job after the whole Nixon thing. I thought their match was a tournament match, but they just had like a collision match or something. Is that correct? They just had a non-tournament match?
Yep, non-tournament match. Their match this week is with Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. TJ versus Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir, that is. All
right, so Ishimori, and so TJ beat Nixon, and now they're moving up. Okay, I should bring up the bracket. If I was a good podcast partner, I'd have the bracket or something in front of me. But I don't know, Boris, what would you do? Like, what do you think Tony Khan's going to do with this thing? You think it's going to be like a Megan? I could see Megan and Mina taking it. Mina could really use some gold because she's not great, and they try and make her like this heater, like give her something,
So here's the thing. Looking at the brackets, we have the Sisters of Sin, Giulia Hart, and Sky Blue. That's a team that's very much established. That's a team
that
could possibly win. Those are two women who could do well with titles. And then on their opponents in the semifinals are the Babes of Wrath, which are Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. Also an established team that I thought could use the titles, but they're actually facing each other in the semifinals. So I would have honestly separated them and have this as my finals, which leads me to believe that I can see Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa getting the titles.
Yeah. Okay. So I should have if I was responsible, I should have the brackets up. Semifinals. So semifinals. So there's only 4 teams left, is what you're saying?
Right now in the quarterfinals, we have the last few teams of the quarterfinals. Semifinals.
So if you think that Tony and Mina are going to the end, that means they should be facing the more heelish team of that too.
Which
so
would
between
be
Harley,
Megan Bain and Marina Shafir, I'm assuming are going to be TJ to leave us with the timeless love bombs, which if you saw, Dynamite last week, Marina Shafir and Tony Storm are starting to have their little issues there. So, we have that happening there. So we have heel faces on one bracket, heel face on the other bracket for the semifinals. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Sisters of Sin, the Nightingale and Harley, with the Sisters of Sin, like that's the tag team match where you want to hang out with those broads. Like that's the four broads you want to hang out with. I know Giulia Hart and Sky are awesome because they're one I've actually spent time with them, and the other two just seem amazing. So that's the cool match. I kind of want them to win, Hart and Sky. That would be great. At this point, I anybody that wins, I'd be happy with because Tony and Mina. They've got so much story and class and zhuzh. Like they'll have a great time, right? They'll split screen it like color and non-color while they're doing promos or whatever. But the other teams, they're all like darlings. Like I'd take it. Like the other babyface teams are people that you love and you want to see win. And the heel teams are somebody's that you kind of like, except for Mina Shirakawa and Megan Bain. And they would be great just to like be heaters, be big people, but they seem like the people you want to beat in the finals to raise your titles and be like, yeah, we made it to the end and beat these huge bitches. Holy fuck. So sorry to swear, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, to be honest with you, I don't know what is going on with titles anymore. Like they're going to have the final of this title on the same event that they're crowning this national title. Do you want to talk about that freaking insanity? Like,
sure, might as well talk about the national title. Tony Khan announced that they are releasing a new national title that will be defended in AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, CMLL, and so much more. Hutch, I thought this was the whole point of the Continental title, which the Continental title was already merged with another title.
Well, before we talk about the title, is it true that they're actually crowning this champion in a gauntlet match or a battle royal or whatever kind of match, casino match, on the same pay-per-view that they're crowning the women's tag champions in the finals? Yeah.
Yep. Full gear.
Dude, and Blood and Guts isn't this weekend. It's Wednesday. Wow, man. Like 1 week of not watching and just like listening to the news cycle and doing other things. And like my head is like in my ass. I was like, it's Blood and Guts this weekend. Like you were like, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, what? Man, national title. It just, I like one theory where somebody was talking about the fact that Tony Khan is kind of like, he's petty, and he wanted the Shockwave name. Remember, like on Fox, Swerve talked about, so he wanted the Shockwave name, and Shockwave was a pay-per-view that NWA ran, and they had the rights to the name. And then once he tried to put out that graphic, and Swerve talked about it, supposedly they went in and shored up that copyright. And we're like, yeah, you can't use his name. It's our name. And Tony Khan was not pleased that he didn't get what he wanted. I already made a logo. And Mom, we already have plans for Shockwave. Freaking Billy Corrigan. So now he's all like pretending the national title. TBS, great tradition, national title. And I think the reason is to just kind of like piss off Billy Corrigan a little bit. We're all like, why in the hell is he doing this? This doesn't make any sense. And he's like, who cares? I'm rich. Who gives a shit? Let's do this to piss off Billy. There you go. It's rich guys battling each other.
That's literally what I think this is. That's literally what I think it is. And it's as petty as it is. It's also as funny. But do you like this adds to the whole confusion of titles and more titles.
Dude, we don't even have to get into that. Like that's a whole other beast.
That's a whole other beast. That's a whole other debate. But it's actually really hilarious. We'll see what happens with that. And I don't want to open up the can of worms because we only have another 40 minutes or so here on KPHR to chat professional wrestling. A lot more that we want to talk about. So that's our national title view. Let us go back to a second about women's championships, women's titles, because on SmackDown there was a huge shock as Chelsea Green becomes the women's U.S. champion in 1 minute and 30 seconds after she beat Giulia. Hutch, let's talk about this a little bit. Number one, congrats to Chelsea Green. It is awesome. Her and Ethan Page are going to be gems moving forward, love the fact that they have Ethan Page appearing on SmackDown. We've been talking about this. He can do both. If there's anyone that can do it, and if there's anyone that would be willing to do it, it is Ethan Page. So happy for them. Chelsea Green, 2-belt Chelsea Green right now.
Yeah, I wonder if she'll do the North American, like she'll make it into a Canadian type title like Lance Storm, but basically like Ethan is doing right now, and just change the strap, something, right? Especially if he becomes part of the cabinet, because let me tell you, the Secret Service could really use something else.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Especially with Piper Niven out for now and maybe out indefinitely.
Yeah, and that's what the thing is about Giulia. She hasn't really done much since winning the title. I hear she had like a small injury or whatnot at first, but then once again, just like I was saying, petty weirdness, rich people behind the scenes. In one of the news cycles, I heard someone talking about that they might want her out of the company.
No,
there's an issue. They brought her in.
Hold on. Stopping you right there, because I've heard that, I've seen that, but then you have people on the other side also talking about the fact that, hey, they just wanted to move up to the main title scene. This was a quick, easy, dirty way of doing it.
Really? Like, she's barely had any matches on NXT. Like, that was I didn't really see her very much. I wasn't watching. That's when we first started this podcast. I said, hey, there was that like half a year to a year I didn't watch NXT, and that was kind of the rise of Giulia. Like, this woman doesn't exist to me. She didn't even look Japanese. They talk about her, and I'm expecting her to say, like, hi. And I'm like, just like, hey, what's up, yo? But then she's, has the accent. Dude, move her up to the main. I guess she must be amazing. I think I've seen one Giulia match if I'm lucky. Like, she's not been, like, in the spotlight. And you were cutting me off going, like, whoa. But I heard that there was, like, an issue. Like there was some kind of problem. Hey, she's not fitting in, when it happens, you got hundreds of people working there.
I can write words on the internet, put it out, and then report, and people report on it too.
Okay.
This is what I mean. We're getting very much conflicting reports on this. Okay,
like this is definitely a week where all my wrestling news just came from listening to podcasts in the background while working on 4 or 5 different major things. So I think I had a little bit of misinformation. I was talking to my friend earlier, and then I think you told me about Full Gear, which I thought, so like, I'm just, my details are off. But I heard this person talking about this, and I thought, like, oh, that's interesting. And I didn't dive into it. So that's actually why I was mentioning it, because I thought you might be like, yeah, here's the thing. But your here's the thing was, hey, here's the thing. And I was like, oh, sorry. So I'm glad you told me, because that would be unfortunate. But sure, I don't know what's going on there. But there's another title. Some people would yell and scream about it being a useless title. What's going on? I mean, what do you think about Becky in the IC title? Is she going to drop this thing to Maxine and keep it in that type of lower mid-card realm after like giving it all this clout, which she should? A big name like Becky getting rolled up or losing to Maxine, who can like barely, run the ropes, and everybody loves her indie darling. Like, everybody's cheering her on when she does a DDT and doesn't fuck it up. And he's like, yeah. So now she's IC champ after beating the man. Like, that's a good story. And then she can disappear all, the Vision screwed me over, and Maxine, and screw all you people. And she goes home to hang out with her husband while he heals. Like, I can see that happening. But when they first brought out these 2 titles, I didn't think they needed these mid-card titles. And now they're kind of like proving it. One of them has to be on a major star to have any relevance. And the other one's just like, does it exist? Chelsea Green, although she does get to do her like first ever, longest reigning, first 2-time ever US Canadian heavyweight, like blah, blah, blah. She's going to do her shtick, which is great. But all these titles, national title, the All Atlantic was supposed to be defended in the area where the national title used to be in Mid-Atlantic. And now they have a new national title that's supposed to be defended internationally all over in all these different promotions, even though national means your country, and the specific title lineage that he's paying homage to was only defended in the Mid-Atlantic area, and used to have an international title that you were kind of defending internationally, but then you combined it with your continental title, and your guy still walks around with 3 belts technically, and now you have a national title coming out, and I could go on. That's the sad part.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in that sense. There's a lot going on in that sense. It is crazy, but yeah, excited to see what happens with Chelsea Green. I think that she is probably one of the darling characters right now in WWE. She has a very bright future. Ethan Page as well, and then Giulia on the other side. Like, what's the deal with Giulia? Are they going to promote her to a main title? We will take a look at that moving down the line.
I wonder, like, maybe we'll bookend this. Maybe Giulia is a closet Nixon Newell. Maybe she's got a little bit of a weird attitude sometimes. Maybe she's a little injury prone. Maybe she's going to get a little bit of fanfare and attention, but never really do much. She set off the fireworks and they kind of go, you're like, oh, I expected a bit more from that. Oh, well.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I think she's fine. I think she's kind of been nerfed a little bit in WWE, like many of the women. I think she's still finding her ground. Her run in NXT was phenomenal.
Dude, Tiff, the biggest nerfing right now, I don't know if it's due to injury, but Tiffany Stratton. Like, what happened to Tiffany Stratton? Like, somebody hit like default on her moveset or something, and half all the custom stuff that I put in there is gone. What happened to my car?
Exactly.
All right, change subjects before I continue with this one. Except not talking
was
about
about to change subjects. So let's go to the other side of the world and talk some more New Japan Pro Wrestling. We had talked about it was a little bit last week. We were trying to figure out. We knew that the announcement was coming very soon, but we now know that it is Tanahashi facing Okada in his retirement match at Wrestle Kingdom 20, January 4th, 2026. Tanahashi and Okada.
Disappointing, to be honest with you. I mean, they've had plenty of classics. I mean, Tanahashi was the guy who, like, put the kibosh on Okada. Like, Okada leaving the ring at Wrestle Kingdom crying, like, down the aisle as Tanahashi's like on the mic being like, hey, sorry, not sorry. Better luck next time, kiddo. And he's like, cry, like, dude, Tanahashi was like his smooth as silk gravitas while still like twisting the knife on Okada. Like, I don't know Japanese, obviously, not to the degree that I could listen to. And they didn't have the interpreters back then. Like, they didn't have Charlton just literally spit it off as they were talking. You know, you had, I think, JR back then, maybe Matt Stryker doing their English stuff. But wow, like, those were some great matches. And then just like how the Japanese do, you know, the underdog just doesn't win and doesn't win. I think it was like match 3, match 4. Finally, Okada wins. Like, Tanahashi just kept brooksing him like they always do with the older dudes. So I don't want to see this match. Tanahashi can barely move. Okada could be doing better things, especially at Wrestle Kingdom, to attract people. They probably need to sell tickets to get attention. I don't know if Tanahashi, like I'm a big fan, and I'm like, you know, I'm not that into it. So I don't think all the other big fans are going to be clamoring to see old man Tanahashi take on what could be possibly the greatest wrestler in the world. So I think they could have given him something cooler. You know, found him another older dude or mid kind of dude, and then give Okada something better. I don't know. Am I being a hater here? Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
You're being a hater. You're being a hater in general right now, but but that's why we have you here on KPHR, here on A Plus Wrestling, chatting wrestling. But yeah, Tanahashi.
I'm having my Nixon Newell moment. Okay, I'm just like, man, I'll regret it later. I'll be like, man, I shouldn't have popped off backstage. Now I lost my job.
I understand why it's Okada. I really do. It's one of those things where I feel conflicted, and I hope that I'm wrong at the end of the day, and they have a classic match. Also on the card, we talked about this last week with the World IWGP Championship and the Global Championship coming together as Takeshita takes on Yota Tsuji. Who do you think is going to main event this show?
What, you mean like out of the two matches we just mentioned?
Yeah.
I don't think the Tanahashi match. I don't think it's Tanahashi main eventing Wrestle Kingdom. Although, you know, honor and respect is huge in Japanese culture, and Okada's a massive draw main event, and I don't think they're doing the 2 nights. So, I mean, maybe, but I don't think that's what you want to main event with. You want to go out with a bang. You want Yota Tsuji to finally beat Takeshita, raise both titles, and say, like, I am the future. They need to smash somebody over super hard. Okay, Goto's finally done it, and he's like the super Hanma. You know, he's like all that energy that they gave to Hanma back in the day. Like, finally winning the tag team titles. Like, Goto's that now. Like, our underdog hero, the never did, who finally did. They need a new one. He's too old. They need Yota Tsuji. They need to smash him over as I am New Japan. I'm going to take on All Japan. I'm going to take on Noah. I'm going to take on AEW. I'm going to take on Gabe Kidd. screw that guy betraying us for a paycheck. Like, he's the guy who's going to wave the banner and stand on that mountain. And man, he could do it, man. This guy's a tough dude, and he's a very interesting cat. Like, he is not. Japanese people are already fucking freaking weird as far as like the cultural, like the way, translation of interests and words and stuff. Like, Japanglish comes across so weird, and the way that they act and the things that they're into, like, it's such an amazingly cool culture, especially because of how different we are and how we communicate. And then this guy, for a weirdo Japanese guy that likes to get beat up for a living, he's already weird for those type of people. So he's a cool cat, and they could definitely push him to the top. So I think that should be your main event. There, I answered the question.
Thank God, holy jeez! No, that was good.
Only because I ended it with that sentence. I'm like technically answering the question.
Technically, no. But I think that you want to establish that title. Obviously, I feel like Takeshita and Tsuji work so hard; they deserve the main event spot. But like you said, there's that whole respect angle with Tanahashi and Okada. We will see. Regardless, 31,548 tickets have been sold for Wrestle Kingdom as of mid last week. That is very impressive.
Dude, that's great. But they're filling the Tokyo Dome. That's not good for the Tokyo. Let's
but have you seen the ticket sales the past few years? Like, they're barely doing just over 20. Like, we're already.
Oh yeah, I know. This is great.
Yeah, we're already definitely at 32K. 2 months from the show, not bad. So.
Nobody's happy with this, though. You want more. Bushi Road wants more. Everybody wants more. We're filling the Tokyo Dome here, buddy. Let's keep going. I put our money where our mouth is. Let's go. You and me on the plane. We're going to Wrestle Kingdom.
I planned it a few years ago, and then COVID happened.
All right. So, well, let's not plan it then. We don't want COVID to happen again. Jeez, man. I know I know how powerful you are in the quantum universe.
All right, so, there's a few things happening this week on AEW. We have Blood and Guts, so that is going to be very interesting this week. We're going to talk about that. But before we do that, WWE Survivor Series is just a few weeks away. And I feel like we have no real direction in regards to what the matches could be, where the War Games matches are going to be announced. Like, I really feel like we're in this weird holding pattern when we should be establishing matches.
All right. Well, let's move to behind the scenes here, or let's move right on to the Reddit board. WWE's been floundering. We were just talking about ticket sales. Oh, some of the pictures that have been coming out lately of empty places and ticket sales non-existent, and the reputation of gouging the fans here lately with Shapiro coming out and being like, what was McMahon doing thinking about families? What a fool. And it seems very cookie cutter. A lot of endings are the same, not a lot of creative booking. This isn't me speaking. I've had a lot of negative opinions, it seems, this show. Oftentimes I'm talking about what I hear, not particularly my opinion. As you know, I am water. I can change constantly, and you ask me an opinion, you better have some time on your hands, right? So this is what I read. This is the sentiment I feel, and the sentiment is that, like, WWE's past the peak of the Cody madness. Like, they're not doing well, bad reputation, and forgot where I was going to go with this. Just. In general, I'm not sure if they're really on the right path right now in any fashion. Like, haven't been enjoying WWE programming.
They have
I try to remember your question and get back to it.
They have a good match here and there. They really do. At the end of the day, the performers are doing the best that they can with what they're given. But I feel the company as a whole right now is in this weird internal struggle where we have the wrestling people with Triple H and others who want WWE to stay as WWE under the TKO brand. But then we have the TKO powers that be that are moving them in all different directions, with tickets and whatnot. And
yeah, like your question was about War Games and the lack of direction, and that's where I was going. Like, I don't think they're not prioritizing. They're not being fans, man. Like, they're not fans at all right now. This is like all corporates. Triple H seems to want to be going into politics. He's backing off. We haven't seen Stephanie at all. I think that's why they're both going into the Hall of Fame, while she's going into the Hall of Fame, because they're going to make their way out of the wrestling sphere. Excuse me. So this is part and parcel of WWE not prioritizing. In the Vince Russo days, you would never have undercard guys without a storyline. Now they can't even get a storyline or direction for like their main event scene on a classic pay-per-view. This is a combination of two classic pay-per-views from this time period. This goes all the way back to the Thanksgiving Wars and, the War Games against Survivor Series. And now it's all like one pay-per-view. And there should be way more history to this. Like if I was writing this, that's what you would be constantly talking about. Like the pay-per-view that exists now from the war that ended, kept killing JCP and created the power of, like, there's a lot in there, like the counter programming pay-per-views and threatening the pay-per-view providers. You won't get Mania if you carry that. All of this shit started with these two events, which are now one event, War Games. And we don't even know what's going on. And like, it's just part and parcel of how they love to stand on the mountain of their history, WWE, yet they don't really do it right ever. It's all just freaking manufactured. So
here's the thing where I get really frustrated, right? We have War Games coming up in just a couple weeks. But I'm looking at the Raw lineup, which we'll talk about very shortly. And I'm seeing a lot of time is now tournament matches. It's like they aren't focusing on the right things at the right times.
To them, I think it's just, it's booked. Like the venue's booked, the schedule's set. We're at this point in the year after setting the schedule last year. We're just kind of like, damn, we got bigger, better, badder things going on. We got Seth injured. We got this tournament. We got all this stuff. They're just moving past it. We're all up in arms about it. And then a week after it's over, we're looking I think they're looking past it. They're like, okay, don't worry. It'll be a bit of a hit. We'll just get through it. It'll be our November to remember, just like plow through with the MFTs and whoever they're against. And let's just get to the end game of John Cena's retirement and into Rumble and Saudi. And let's go get that Saudi money. They're announcing Manias and Saudis, and they're announcing Crown Jewels for next year. They're not worried about War Games, man. It's too bad.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
Let's talk about War Games on the AEW side. It is happening this Wednesday.
You mean Blood and Guts, War Games on the AEW side. That's a great way of saying it, though. You're correct.
Yeah, War Games on the AEW side. Blood and Guts happening this Wednesday on Dynamite. We have 3 matches. Let's run through them. Hangman Adam Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs in a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yeah, baby. This is what I'm talking about. This is the haters online, the Hutch Henrys out there, who are like, what's the point of this match? He's obviously not going to win. And why you haven't had Falls Count Anywhere? Straight to the blow off match, not even a singles match. Dude, this is great. This is the ROH on tour where you go to see Danielson or Steen or whoever's the champ, and they're taking on someone and most likely not going to win, but it's going to be a hell of a match. Caprice Coleman's not winning the title, but man, him and Steen are going to have a hell of a main event here in the middle of butt fuck nowhere, Idaho. And you're just like, wow, right? So that's why I love AEW. It's like all of our greatest indie wrestling schlop from the 02, 03, 04, 05, all mashed into this massive powerhouse company that's on TV. So I like to look at it that way. So Hangman the champ against great big huge Hobbs in a freaking Falls Count Anywhere match in a barn in the middle of nowhere. Let's go do it. So that's how I like to look at this. I'm looking forward to this match.
I am too. Honestly, sometimes those matches where the outcome, like I always say, if for a split second they can convince us that Powerhouse Hobbs, could come out on top, blah blah blah, it would that's how that they've done a good job. And I honestly think that they are going to just have a barn burner, knowing that there are 2 blood and gut matches on the card as well.
And you've got Falls Count Anywhere, which means no DQ, which means the ops can interfere. Maybe it could be that moment where you're like, oh my God, they just triple powerbomb, shielded it, powerbombed him through a concession table. Is Hangman going to lose the title here? Is Hobbs going to be standing there? Remember when I said last week or 2 weeks ago, wrestling did its job here when Kyle Fletcher and Briscoe, and I was like, oh my God, is Briscoe actually going to win? And even though I knew at the end who I thought was going to win and should win won, and I was kind of annoyed because I was like, oh, they got me in the middle where I thought, is Briscoe going to win? So can they do that with Hobbs? Let's see.
All right, let's talk about the women's blood and guts match. This match,
oh God,
when you look at the competitors, what I love about this match is that there are so many breakaway stories that can happen, and these are the people in the match: Jamie Hayter, Willow Nightingale, Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander. And we also have timeless love bombs of Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa. That is one side versus Giulia Hart, Sky Blue, Tekla, Megan Bain, Marina Shafir, and Mercedes Monet.
I remember we talked about this last week. That's a lot of bodies. That's 14 gals, right?
Yep.
7 and 7?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot of bodies. And I understand women wrestlers. They want to prove it. They hit harder than the men. They got a chip on their shoulder naturally because, the weaker sex or whatever. They want to prove, we belong here, even though they've long since proven it 100 times over. But it's just inbred.
To that point, that, honestly, women's wrestling, in my opinion, is carrying both companies at times.
Oh, yeah, totally. And who would have ever thought you would have said that, huh? Way back in the day. But so I understand them wanting to get in there. Even you saying, hey, I don't think women should do this kind of they want to get made. It's like finally getting that shot at Madison Square Garden. They're like, oh my God, this might be the only major cage match like this they ever have. Guys might have half a dozen in their career, but these ladies might never get this chance again, especially if they go to WWE or some other place. But I hope they don't get hurt. I'm sure they're going to have a great match. That's a lot of hands and legs and feet flying around in a lot of crazy spots. And no matter how much you get in the gym, women do not have the tensile tendon strength and upper body strength that men have. And a lot of these power moves and a lot of these moves, I just hope nobody gets hurt, but I'm looking forward to it. Don't hurt my Giulia Hart and my Sky Blue. These every gal in this, I have affection for, even Monet, they all have their place in my heart. So I hope it's a good match. I don't really want to see anybody covered in blood. I know Tony Storm's going to get covered in blood, man.
My concern with this one match is because everything that you said, I feel the same way. They're going out there to prove that they belong, which means that they are going to do some insane, crazy spots. I don't want the women's tag team tournament ruined because of this match. There's a lot of people that are still in the tournament in this Blood and Guts match. I just hope that everyone is safe and comes out feeling okay at the end, and we can continue that women's tag team tournament without further changes to the actual competitors. Last thing we need is more injuries in AEW and wrestling in general. That's my one thing about this women's Blood and Guts match.
The last thing we need is somebody getting a warhorse type, split lip kind of thing. Imagine Tony Storm with a scar down her freaking across those red lips, and ruining the gimmick there. Maybe Shirakawa. I'm sure somebody can handle a facial scar. One of these gals. Forget Harley Cameron with a facial scar and a face protector, and it's still hey boys, just wrestling was fun, but I should have really been a comedian because wow, wrestling took it out of me. She got missing teeth and stuff. She's but she'd pull it off. But yeah. This will be fun. But the men's match is only what? It's 4-on-4, 5-on-5?
5-on-5. Men's match, Darby Allin, Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly versus the Death Riders, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Pac.
This is either going to rehab the Death Riders or it's going to be more of the same. I don't think they ever really lose these kind of big major, all group chaos matches, right? The last Blood and Guts, the Stadium Stampede, Anarchy Arena, when they're involved, they usually win, right?
Yep. More often than not.
And then they can go off and lose their tag matches in single match.
Yeah.
So, they could win. This is a catalyst. I'm trying not to babble, but there's a lot they could do here. This could be the catalyst for the end of the Death Riders. This could rebuild the Death Riders. You could have somebody show up and shore up their numbers and help them win. You could do, what I want to do if I had my fantasy booking. What do I want to do, Boris?
You tell me.
I want to have Roderick Strong join the Death Riders and be with his wife and kick everybody's ass. That's what I want.
That, honestly,
I want something that puts Roddy on TV and in the ring more often.
Since you mentioned this last week, honestly, I was thinking about it when I listened back to the show because yes, I listened back.
I mention this every time somebody gives me a chance. Sorry,
I know it's fantastic, but Roderick Strong joining the Death Riders isn't an insane idea, and I can honestly see that being how they win. That's honestly it.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that it's the perfect fit. I'm just saying, the dude's getting cucked out. His wife is there with Moxley, every week, carrying the briefcase. She's right up, she's a great right-hand man. And you can tell there's no sexual tension. Everybody knows that Moxley's with Renee. So it's great that it's this very, even though China and Triple H were together, it's this very, it's this very professional, almost like noble, like kind of like wholesome relationship where she like kicks the shit out of people for him. It's great. But Roddy should be with his wife. And you may not think personality wise, but the peak Roddy, Adam, like crazy Roddy, that's where you'd have to go. But the bottom line is, think of the wrestler Roddy Strong, like the way he works, how strong he is, his moveset, how crisp he is, his timing, everything. Like, bro, him and Claudio would just rule the tag division. They'd kick the shit out of everybody. And I just think Roddy as a worker and with his background and with his wife and like, go watch my short. Go to Hutch Henry's, man. Like Steiner Brothers position with Mina Shikara standing over him. Like, I need, anyways, you know what I want to do. I said it that way because I didn't want to be the one talking about it. I thought you'd be like Roddy Strong. I'd be like, Roddy Strong, you gave me the opening, man. So here we go. But that's what I want to do. But I don't know. I guess give Darby a win as mishmash good guy team. Is it haterish of me to just be like, who cares? Are we going right back to the beginning of the podcast with Nixon Newell? Like, who cares?
Full circle moment here on A Plus Wrestling, here on KPHR. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. Here's the thing. Both the men's and the women's matches have enough meat and potatoes in the meal that you can get some pretty cool stories regardless of who wins. And that's kind of the great part about this. Like, you can do no wrong with winners and losers and still come out on the other side with some awesome potential matches, you've done well. And I'm going to give credit to where credit is due. So I'm giving Tony Khan and AEW all the credit right now. Thank you for making wrestling fun this week.
All right.
There we go.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Tonight on WWE Raw, let's just run down real quick with what is happening. John Cena is back, and he is opening the show. We also have Stephanie Vakir and Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's World Championship. We have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Asuka and Kairi Sane for the Women's Tag Team titles. We have Sheamus and Shinsuke Nakamura in a first-round match of the Last Time Is Now tournament. And we have Damian Priest versus Rusev in a first-round match of the Last Time Is Now tournament. And then we have CM Punk reacting to the Vision and Logan Paul joining them last week.
CM Punk, Logan Paul, Vision stuff, that's going to be fun. Let's see what happens with that. This is of course contingency planville. Pizzaville. They're doing this because they have to, right? And I think Logan Paul was the outside the box and good choice. He's got this. He's a prick. Let's get a prick in there, right? And then that might lead to Braun and Logan. That'd be a good match. Tournament matches. I don't care. Sheamus is probably going to lose due to Dominic interference, shenanigans, pushing him towards the IC title. That's who's probably going to take the IC title from Dom. We're finally going to give Sheamus what they were baiting us with the Gunther stuff years ago. We're going to give him his final title and give him the title he's never won. That's the way you get the fans to cheer Dominic losing the title, because nobody wants to see Dominic lose. Everybody loves Dominic. How in the hell can we have him lose this IC title without burying somebody or doing like a John Cena against who are you going to cheer in that match? Like, that's a nightmare. Take your two guys and make the fans boo one of them. That's a bad choice. So put him in there against Sheamus. Everybody's going to be really happy when Sheamus wins and kicks his ass. That's the only way you can get the title off him. The other tournament match, I don't particularly care. You got to look at the face-heel dynamic of who moving on to the next round. That's who I think will win that. And what were some of the other matches?
Stephanie Vakir versus Raquel Rodriguez in a Women's World Championship match.
Latin broads, that'll be great. Stephanie can probably do some good selling. Raquel, and the language barrier won't be an issue here, so that'll probably be a good match. And Stephanie can definitely lead Raquel, who's still, she's way, way better than she's one of those ones that every year gets better and better and better and better. She's the long, hard project, and she's doing great. And Steph, who's like back of her hand, can have a great match while she's half asleep. This should be good. This will probably surprise everybody. Now that I've said that, it'll be like, ooh. It wasn't a good match. But anyways, and I think there was one other thing you mentioned in there.
Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Asuka and Kairi Sane for their women's tag titles.
I don't know if that change will happen on this show, But I think this program's going to lead towards Kabuki's getting a title run, or they should, or because they should put these gals over. Charlotte and Alexa, they don't really need the belts right now. They've established the friendship. They've taken the edge off of Charlotte. They automatically want to boo her right away, like, oh, Charlotte Flair. Like, in fact, I think this friendship thing has almost gone on a bit too long. For the first few weeks, it seemed kind of wholesome, and Charlotte Flair kind of seemed like a weird robot that was learning feelings. You know, it's like Terminator being like, I can never do what you do, and like learning how to cry, and like, but now it's almost like, okay, it's getting cheesy. I don't want to hear her say anything anymore. Just
This is the thing about WWE sometimes. It's kind of like, it's the whole beating the dead horse thing, where it's just fun at first, and then they somehow just don't change it up enough, and it's more the same week after week. And we've been seeing them cross over to NXT and Raw and SmackDown. So we're seeing them a lot, and it's just gotten to that point where it's just like, that's how I feel about that. And maybe we are haters this week. What's wrong with us?
Well, I feel like they are probably like, this is the kind of thing where some people are like, why are these people why is MJF doing a program with Jeff Jarrett? Because they like each other and they want to do a program. They're like, yo, before you retire, we should do some matches and stuff. So they're fighting each other because they want to. So I think they're a tag team here because they want to be. I think they're friends backstage, and now they're trying to do this like friends on camera thing, and just neither of them are great actors. There's a lot of bad actors in wrestling. We forget that too. We're like, why does this seem so not great? And you're like, well, they're athletes, not actors. They're doing their best, and some of them are awesome, but some of them aren't. Like Charlotte Flair, I ain't going Hollywood, buddy. So I think that they're friends, backstage, but it has lost its luster. I don't know. And Kabuki's can take it. Yeah.
And the last thing announced for Raw starting very shortly, John Cena is opening the show. He is apparently having a match at Survivor Series, and we're going to hopefully, get something announced for Survivor Series.
He's not in that. He's not in the War Games, right? Everybody thought he was going to be in War Games for a while.
Everyone thought he was going to be War Games. People are thinking he's going to face Dominic. We don't know. This is where we're at in WWE.
So it's an unannounced match, huh?
Nothing's been announced for Survivor Series yet.
Nothing at all. This could be the opportunity that we get the match. All the things that people have been dropping for the tournament, like this guy could be in it, that guy could be in it. Okay, yeah, but you put a guy in a tournament. He doesn't get to fight John Cena, and you're gonna have him lose one match and win a match, and then lose the next match. Like obviously, these bring him in random people aren't going to be the winners. So we could get Cena against Hendry, Cena against Cardona. Cena against roll the dice. Hopefully we're going to get it. And hopefully it'll be a surprise, because I want to see Matt Cardona as a surprise. I don't want to see an announcement of Matt Cardona against John Cena next week. I want to have Cena be like, this is my last official match before the last official match. Penultimate match. So who do we have coming down? And man, that would be great. Have somebody's music hit that gives us the feels, and don't announce it beforehand, because you have the money to do that. Independent promoters like myself and Boris, like, I can't fly a guy in and pay for a hotel and not make a poster and sell tickets based on this person. I don't care who the hell it is. I don't care if it's goddamn like Rhino and Tommy, like whoever. You bring in some old fart. Well, the old farts want more money. You bring in anybody that has any worth or value at all, unless you got a bunch of money or you've already sold a lot of tickets, that's when you book a surprise as an indie guy. But as WWE, dude, book a surprise, man. Come on.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. That is WWE Raw. That is happening very shortly. Hutch, we are running out of time, but before we go, where can they find all of your half-decent to good work?
Thank you. At Hutch Henrys on all your socials. Follow at Demand Lucha as well. And yeah.
What's happening with Demand Lucha? Like you guys have been pretty busy. Show coming up.
Hey, we got every year we have a very merry Lucha Christmas, or a very merry Lucha Libre Christmas. And this year we've got the nightmare before a very merry Lucha Libre Christmas. Like we decided to be able to, so bam, go check it out. November 20th. Should be fun. And yeah, all kinds of, usually I'll drop like a main event. We got this guy coming in. It's gonna be fun. We got a lot of cool stuff going on. We got bringing in a lot of the luchas that we had in Vegas for WrestleMania weekend. So like Brillante, Latigo. I think we got a few other guys. So this is gonna be lucha heavy. A lot of flights, a lot of guys cramming into cars. So not a lot of huge names, but gonna be a lot of huge action.
Awesome. That is Demand Lucha. You can find all things A Plus Wrestling over on the A Plus Productions website, aplusproductions.com. If you want to listen to more of our craziness and antics, go to your favorite podcasting app and search for A Plus Wrestling. That's EH Plus Wrestling. We also have a bunch of other shows under A Plus Productions. We want to listen to you and get your voice, and the best way to do that is by going to the Facebook group, by searching A Plus Productions over on Facebook.com. And there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. Whether this is the first show or the 100th show, we appreciate each and every single one of you. Have a fantastic week, but most importantly, stay tranquilo.